This lesson is on how to make handles, and I'm going to do really the best way to make a handle is to pull a handle. And there are some other methods, but this is just about pulling handles. So on the table, you see a couple of things. So over here, you can see a lump of clay that is just my source clay. On the bat, you see a couple of little pyramids of clay. These are about 1/3 of a pound each. If you're making much larger handles, you could use something larger. And you'll see with the process that you can have a lot of excess clay for this process and it doesn't hurt anything. So if you're more comfortable using a 1/2 pound or even a whole pound for this, that's fine. But I'm going to use 1/3 of a pound. The other thing I have on the table here is a slop bucket. And this is just my normal throwing bucket right off the wheel. And so now what I'm going to do is demonstrate how a handle is made. So to make a handle, you take this pyramid shape and just hold it upside down and kind of get a good grip on it. And you can see that it's already kind of suggesting that this is going to become a long shape. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my hand wet in the slip and I just start to pull on the clay. And you can get a kind of a rhythm going, pull down. You're not trying to grip it tight, you're just trying to get enough of it, enough purchase on it so that you can stretch the shape. And you can see all the way around, I've still got a place to hold up here, but this is getting more slender and becoming kind of handle-like. So I keep going back into the slip, get a little bit more each time, and try to keep all the spray going into the bucket so it doesn't make a mess. And you can turn this every once in a while just to kind of keep it even. You get kind of uneven places on the sides or the top. Just kind of work with it gently. You can make a little groove in one side. I generally don't try to do that, but that's a little fancier. You can get fancy with it. But the main thing is keep it wet enough and pull on it lightly. And you want to get this thin enough to be a handle. This is still a little bit too thick. So I'm just going to keep going a little bit more, a little bit more. If it gets too long, you can just pinch off the tip there, the bottom, and have what you need. Keep turning it to inspect it, make sure that it's symmetrical. And when it's done, the purpose for this bat is you just take this handle and set it up on the edge, and you want to press down firmly so that that will stick. Now this is going to put a nice curve in that, and that curve will be useful for when we want to attach the handle later. We will actually, no matter how many handles we make at a time, we will leave them to sit out in the air and stiffen up a little bit. And when you don't want to let them get leather hard, you want them to still be flexible when you attach them to a pot, because if they're too hard, they'll just crack. And you can imagine that if you had leather hard clay and you're trying to bend it, that doesn't work so well. So handles are normally attached at a much more fluid state. So not in the plastic state, but let's just call it halfway in between plastic and leather hard is when you do handle attachment. And you'll get a feel for this just like you do every other thing in pottery. So just kind of fine tuning that shape a little bit, and then we'll put that down on our bat. And now we have two handles. My rule of thumb is I always make at least one more. So let's say I'm going to make 10 mugs. I would typically make 11 handles just because something might go wrong with one. If I'm making 5, I'll usually make 6 handles. If I'm making 20, I might make 24 or 25 handles, just to be on the safe side. You can see that they go very quickly to make them, and so it's really not a burden to make extra ones. One of the things that happens with this technique a lot of times is if this ball is not heavy enough, it might just fall down. So be careful of that, and that is actually a reason to use a little bit more clay when you're making handles, so that you have a bigger ball here, more of a counterweight to hold the handle in place. So that is how you fabricate a handle, and I will try to do attaching a handle in a separate video. Thanks.